Welcome inside the bullpen. Eric Balnar here. Our normal host, Michael Dunn, is unavailable for. Can you believe that? He's already called quits on the show after 1 week.
1 week wonder.
So we've got who's been known as the better-looking Michael Dunn from around the community. Scott Pratt has joined us, and Sarah Short graciously joining us as well.
Thank you.
All the way
me.
from Southern
Super
Districts.
Excited to be here.
Welcome inside the bullpen. Look, we got a big show. We're going to jump into it in just a second, but we're going to talk to Sarah about all things women's baseball.
Yes.
Robert Laidlaw is here. You know, the man, the guy with the camera that wanders around all the time.
I saw him on the weekend.
Did he have a camera?
In fine form. Oh, he did. he did.
He had the camera.
And we'll talk about that camera later because it is very valuable.
Does he have it with him, I wonder, today on the show? That'll be the question. And then we're going to break down a couple things that we saw in the Super League last week and give a shout out to a few people that sent a few bits of pieces of information here. So let's make that. Should we make the call to the bullpen?
Yeah, let's make the call to the bullpen.
And look, we don't have to call very far.
Here we are.
Oh, look, Sarah. Whoa, where'd you come from?
We got a righty.
Sarah Short, Southern Districts Baseball Club, Women's State Team, a whole bunch of accolades all over the place. Sarah, what's been happening? First week of baseball under your belt, all good?
Oh, yeah, it was a huge weekend for all of us. It was so exciting to get back out in the field. But I also feel like we didn't get a huge break in the off-season, so it was just bang, bang, bang right back into it. I don't know if you guys felt the same way.
100%. You see some of the scores up on screen right now. Unfortunately, tough luck for Southern Districts on the weekend. But with some of those teams that you're seeing on the screen right now, I think there's a lot of people wondering, as women's baseball gets a higher profile here, who are these teams that are in Division 1? So can you help us understand what's going on in Div 1?
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, the first team that comes to mind for me is Glenelg. We played them on the weekend. They're such a reliable team. You know, they were the first club team to come into the league when we first had the colours. So they've been in there for longer than anybody else, and they have that pitching depth. They have the pitchers that throw lots of strikes. They've got the fielders that back them up every single play, and probably arguably one of the best hitting lineups in the league, no doubt. And, you know, that's made up of your Bianca Smiths, your Jess Maslin, the Dunn sisters, and Prokopek. You know, they're just such high-quality players, and they all band together, and it's almost unstoppable.
Now, before we get to those other teams, it must be said, did you watch that grand final, Southern Districts?
I watched it, and, yeah, they are a very good side, good side.
But that was, you'd mentioned the teams, the color teams, which was literally like, what, green, blue,
green, purple, blue, and red.
And that's how it started
6
years ago.
Yep.
So as we're talking about where it came from before these teams here is, well, there's a shot at some of the grand final highlights last year. That's Ellie Tucker. We'll talk a bit more about her later. But where did it come from when you went from color teams now to clubs? That's crazy.
Honestly, it expanded so quickly. I think we've got something crazy like 27 teams across 3 divisions now, and that happened in the space of 6 years. And that just blows my mind every time I think of that. And people were worried that we expanded too quickly and, you know, we weren't sure if we're going to be able to keep up. And I think we have. You know, our quality of baseball is certainly on the rise, no doubt.
So you gave us a little book on Glenelg. What about Sturt? Because they seem to be good every year.
They're just so dominant, you know, all through their entire club. But their women's team, they're that aggressive team that takes risks no matter what. So they're, you know, aggressive with their bats, aggressive on the bases, and so they just score so many runs. And, you know, they're going through a bit of a evolving time at the moment. They've got some younger players coming in on top of those more experienced players. So you have players like your Julie Wadhams, your Shelley Nellers, Chantel Keats, Bindi. They're all these quality baseball and softballers, and now they're getting pushed through by younger girls. You know, Georgia Davis is absolutely outstanding, and Gemma Letton just played out of her skin last year. It was hard to stop them.
Well, Georgia Davis was a former MVP in, I think it was under 13s that she won. Played baseball for a long time, so you know, good to see her going from the boys and into the women's league and doing well.
And I don't know if people have watched the softball coverage or some of the baseball coverage too. I think I need a Gemma Letton like fan club shirt because she's like my favorite player. Have you seen her play before?
Yes, I have.
She just smiles.
Yeah. She does every time. I mean, I struggled pitching to her because she'd come up to the batter's box and just have this huge grin on her face. I'm like, how am I supposed to throw to that?
Does it feel weird then you throw something? I'm assuming she gets a hit off you and she just like laughs at you.
Yeah. And you know that's just her, and she's just out there having fun doing her thing.
So that's Sturt. They didn't play on the weekend. Woodville did play, and they're again another solid team. And you call them your bogey team.
I did. They are. For the last 3 years, they've just seemed to have that one up on us, and they knocked us out of the finals 3 years in a row. So to get that win against them, you know, last year to get into the grand final was phenomenal. But they just they band together, and they've got such good leaders in their team. You know, you've got your Carly Moore, who's on the coaching staff tonight, and Dana Veen, she throws a lot of strikes, and Sarah McMahon, always solid in the field and with the bat, and they come together as such a strong group, and it's always a pleasure to play them. So as much as I call them my bogey team, you know, I think we play them 3 games in a row this year, so I'm actually looking forward to those 3 weeks.
We'll get to East Torrens in a second, but what about Souths? Where are they at your team right now?
Yeah, so we're coming off of the back of playing in a grand final, and it was a tough grand final.
The first one, right?
First grand final for the club. It's our 4th season in the league, so we're starting to find our feet, and we saw that last year with some quality coaching last year with Ben Short, and we've got that pitching and hitting depth now. So we've got hitters that we can hit all through the lineup, and we just didn't have that in previous years. And so I think, you know, we're starting off on the right foot, coming off of a grand final, and we got a really long, solid preseason in, and I'm just super excited to be part of that team.
And East Torrens kind of the new kids on the block.
Yeah, I actually don't know anything about East Torrens. I don't know who's in that team.
You'll find out.
I will find out. I think we play them in the 3rd or 4th week, so I'm really looking forward to that as well.
That's an awesome breakdown of just the 5 teams that are in the Div 1 comp. So, look, I'm excited to follow along the season this year, and I hope that we can help out share that Div 1 story a bit more. But we mentioned it earlier. It's crazy. It came from 4 colored teams to now.
It is crazy. It is. And Sarah's a bit short on a couple of things, pardon the pun, but we'll see some footage on her and her pitching.
Oh, yeah. Can we get that clip up of Sarah there? No, that's Ellie Tucker, but you love watching Ellie too, right?
Yeah. Oh, I do. I think she's great. You know, she's come so far with her pitching, and she stepped up as the first baseman as well. So, you know, arguably one of, if not the best first baseman.
And here we are. Look at that. Look at the follow through. That is outstanding. So it just goes to show that you know, you've come through baseball and you've got this great technique. So looks fantastic.
Quality coaching, and my dad bringing me through as well, and having people like Matt Williams, Landon Hernandez, Austin Gallagher, you know, they all coached me through it. So I've had some really good support with that.
And you got one other in your team there that we've got to shout out to, Abby?
Oh, Abby Jorgensen. She's this wonderful young athlete who just is dedicated to sport. You know, she plays 3 or 4 games of softball on a Saturday, comes out and plays baseball on a Sunday. You know, she's played all 3 juniors. She's going to pitch a little bit more this year, which I'm excited for. I'll gladly step aside and let her do her thing. But yeah, I think, you know, with her and Ellie and, you know, these 2 girls both hit, you know, up in the 400, 500 mark last year as well. So it's just outstanding baseball, really.
All right, Sarah, a big change this year. You were playing on Friday night games, a lot of them at West Beach. I'm not even going to ask a question. I'm just going to say baseball on Sundays.
4 o'clock on Sundays too, so right at a prime time. No, not really. It's been a tough transition, and I know that us and a couple of other clubs, we lost a couple of players because of it, because they couldn't commit to the Sunday afternoons, which is quite upsetting, because we're trying to, you know, hold as many players in as possible, and, you know, we struggled with a bit of coaching as well. But having said that, you know, we've got our games back at Clubland, and that's huge. You know, we're getting extra exposure for our juniors. We've got people coming in and supporting us now on a cruisy Sunday afternoon. It's just there's lots of pros and cons with it, and I'm interested to see how it's going to work out for the rest of the season.
So what do you think that 1 or 2 things is that you think needs to happen here in the state to really help elevate women's baseball in particular? I know it's come a long way from pretty much nothing 7 years ago, but there's still a list of things I know.
Yeah, I think just making sure we're all on the same page, really. With the Sunday time slot, there was a bit of a miscommunication there, and so it just threw us off a little bit. So I think if we keep that real community vibe and keep the women together, you know, for example, we've got Bianca Smith out there running Grow Her Game, and that is huge. You know, that's 40 of us all training in the same spot, all supporting each other from 10 to 50 years old, and it's a wonderful program, and I think we need to keep that at a club level, a league level, and also communications with Baseball SA, just staying with that community vibe.
Sarah, I really appreciate you taking some time to come down here and chat to us women's baseball. We'll have to have you come back for a bit of a... I know, that was good. I feel pumped to follow the games this weekend. So make sure you follow along on the Baseball SA website for all those results updates. We're going to get Robert Laidlaw to help give some insight on that too. Sarah, thanks for joining us. We're going to go to break. We'll be back in just a second. Robert Laidlaw coming up after this.
Just the Thing is a South Australian family operated business, and what we try and achieve at Just the Thing is we give our customers the opportunity to buy on-trend furniture at heavily discounted prices. So we offer everything under the one roof in our massive warehouse at Beverley, from bedding, sofa, rugs, home decor, prints, and even now we do office furniture.
So here at Just the Thing Furniture, we focus on finding unique items for our customers. We've got over 170 rugs in stock. We're always sourcing new ones.
If you can see it in our warehouse, you can take it home that day. We're open 7 days a week, 9 till 5, and also take advantage of our delivery service.
Look at that, out with one, in with another. Robert Laidlaw in here. Look, we're off center here on the camera. I like this. It's a bit off-putting, isn't it? That's okay.
Yeah.
Welcome in.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Rob.
Yes.
You watched some baseball games on the weekend.
I saw one game. I went out to, I saw Gawler in Division 2. They beat Northern Districts 11-0. Then I shot down to Goodwood, just down the road from Gawler. And
you just wanted to catch up with me, didn't you?
Oh, yes, that was a good catch-up, wasn't it? Took the mickey out of you a little bit.
Yeah, you did. Thank you.
Well, it should be said, your recaps every week are awesome to read.
Awesome.
Play ball, all things baseball, softball. That's great to follow on social media and also on the Baseball SA page. Rob, why do you do it? Why and how?
Well, you know, some people smoke, some people drink. My addiction is baseball. I can't help it. I love it.
Great. That's great. It's great for the game to have someone so passionate about the game to be involved and inform and give us all what's going on. We need that.
So, Rob, let's jump to it here because we don't have too much time. You saw how quickly that went with Sarah Short. What was your game of the week in this past week, and what really stood out to you? I think we'll have some of the scores pop up for everyone to see, but what really stood out for you?
Well, there's a few things. Goodwood Sturt now. Goodwood sort of look like the same old Indian team. They're just always competitive, and they were right up there. And I was a little bit surprised with Fitzy, who came over from Kensington, Tom Fitzgerald, and he's a little bit wild when he pitches, but he pitched really well for 5 digs. I really thought that was the starting pitcher of the round. He did a really good job. And then they brought in a young fellow they've got 2 guys, 45 and 46, John Challenor. He's
heard of them.
46 years old, and he pitched last 4 innings. He gave up 2 big hits to Angus Roger. Angus Roger was supposed to be out injured, and they used him as a DH and hit 2 dingers.
Yeah, 2 bombs. How you doing, Angus?
Seahawks teammates, that's all, just working together.
So Goodwood won that game 6-3, so I kind of expected Goodwood to win that. Sturt's going to take a little while to sort of gel because they've lost a couple of players, but I just reckon that was, I was debating out of that game and Kensington and Henley. I thought that was the other one. I almost went to that game. It was just a little bit too far to go to. So I changed my mind and I went to Goodwood, but it was interesting because they did a swap from last season, and young Suzuki went to.
We've got this video as well too.
Interesting.
Yeah, Kozi Suzuki showed the video.
First at bat.
First lead off for.
Is this the first of the game?
No, first for Kenzie, bottom of the first innings, lead off batter, and let's see what he does here.
Yeah, this is Suzuki. So he was on Henley and Grange last year. They kind of let him go, and Galley just scooped him up.
Yeah, he's a young kid. He's only about 18 or 19. Kozi Suzuki, he could hit a ball last year for Henley, had a few dingers, and his first game against his old team, he hits a home run. I mean, how often does that happen?
Yeah, what do you reckon? What do you reckon about that move? I mean, Pratty and I were kind of talking off screen here. Like, big guy to let go in Kosei Suzuki, and Kensington, I think, we're pumped to have him. Yeah,
and of course, Henley got Bass Nuge, who's been the catcher for Kensington for 10 years or something. So, you know, you reckon it's a fairly...
There's a shot, opposite field, Oppo Power. How's that?
Yes, he's...
over right field.
You know, pound for pound, he'd be one of the strongest home run hitters in the league, wouldn't he?
He doesn't look strong. Like, he doesn't, like, he's not big stature. He's not like a Austin Gallagher or a Angus Roger.
No.
You know, just a little kid, but he's got some power.
Yeah, and then, of course, with his playing at third base, Sean Maple hit 2 home runs, 4 ribbies. And we're talking about Austin Gallagher, who tended to play third base, first base over the last couple of years. He caught.
Yeah, he caught some Super League games out here before too.
So he did a good job. So, you know, they really... Kensington surprised me. I thought they lost a few guys, but I reckon they're going to be in the mix.
So what's the game we're going to watch this weekend then?
Well, this week, you look at the Dodgers who won 2-0 against Glenelg. They play Adelaide. Adelaide lost to Port. That's a big game in itself. But Port Goodwood always big because of that 19-inning grand final from 1972. I always think of that game whenever
40 years ago.
Yeah. Well, 50 years ago. But the South are playing Henley. I think Henley should be okay with that, even though South had a very good win against Woodville, even though they won 5-4. But Cesar Perez hit 2 home runs and got 4 ribbies for Woodville. So he did a pretty good job. But my game of the week would have to be Kensington and Sturt at Kenzie's.
That's huge, actually, because if Kenzie win that and they beat Sturt go 0-2, Kenzie's go 2-0, that would kind of turn things around.
Yeah, that would. But look, Sturt got their own program. You know that they're going to come good no matter what. It's just going to be a matter of time. So I don't think they'll be too fussed if they go down. They know what they got to do to be around the mark, and they'll be around the mark.
Look, Rob, you went around and you reported on. Well, I asked you to come up with team of the year. Well, you gave me a team of the week. That's fine, but because that's all we have for the year, I even cut it down for you. I cut 2 pitchers and just gave one on your team of the week. To be totally honest, with AJ's big performance. But walk us through maybe a surprising there. I know guys like Jake Campbell, like you really like seeing him in what he did on the weekend.
Oh, yeah, he scored both their runs and in the 2-0 win for the Dodgers, 2-0 over Glenelg, and he scored both of them, and he was batted in both times by Brandon Mansella. You
know, he also did well out here last week. Remember, he took that big catch. So he showed some good form here and then took it into Saturday's game.
He's got a lot of speed. He stole a base the first time he scored the run. The second time, he must have bothered them because he got to second on a wild throw by the pitcher and to third on another wild throw. So that set up the 2 runs. And he's so smooth as a shortstop. To me, he reminds me a little bit of Jeremy Creswell when he was a young man. He's a little bit taller, but he's just got that little bit of a flair about his game. He's a guy to watch, I reckon.
Look, Rob, I really appreciate you writing up all these reports so we can kind of follow along what's going on. But I want from both of you here, way too early Caps medal prediction. We'll start with you, Pratty, on the spot. Way too early Caps.
Way too early, but I think that Brodie Ariola will be around the mark. I also think that if Fitzy gets a lot of time, he could be a guy. It's got to be a two-way guy, could be up there as well.
What about Greg Moselle?
Greg Moselle, early start, yeah.
Max Stagg,
always a dark horse.
Mate,
what do you think?
You pinched my thunder. I'm pointing to Brodie here.
Yeah, well, there's big raps on him from the weekend, wasn't there?
Well, he got a couple of hits. He got a home run. He scored 3 runs, got 5 ribbies. I mean, he's going to be the next superstar in the league, I reckon. And if he doesn't win the Caps medal because he doesn't do enough pitching, so you're right, two-way players tend to get it. But I don't know, how can you pick a Caps medalist after round 1?
That's the whole point. You just got to make that prediction. You got to look at it before. It's easy to pick a Caps medalist when the whole season has come to an end. You can look at data and information. It's fun to make those predictions. I think Greg Moselle's a sneaky one here because if he plays full-time at Kensington, because he was hitting last year too, right?
That's right.
An interesting two-way option.
Yep.
Mitch Neuenborn, if there's a limited ABL season, he's always going to be an option as well as a guy that can do both. And I think you've got to look at guys like that.
You've also got to look at teams that are winning, and I don't think Port are going to win a lot of games this year. They'll be around the mark, but they won't win enough really to get a lot of
undefeated so far.
Yeah, well, okay, well, he'll win the Caps medal then if it was done now. But I really like Brodie, but I've got to sort of look at, when some of the other guys sort of come back, and Austin Gallagher. I mean, he hits a long ball and he's catching. He's right there with the umpire. I mean, he would attract some attention. But what about AJ Verstegen from
Verstegen,
from Dodgers? I mean, he's going to get some votes.
Pratty, what was the vibe on the weekend with games being moved on, all the senior games on Saturday for the first time? And I know you were out covering some games, wasn't on the Sunday, but what was that vibe like at the club?
Look, it was outstanding. We had a bumper trade for us as a club. There's a lot of people around, everyone was up and about. So a really good move by the league and a good day out.
Did you like it, Rob?
What?
The move to Saturdays, yeah.
Saturdays is a little bit harder for me because I've got softball commitments as well.
Well, it's not all about you, Rob. Come on. Okay, no, please change it back to Sundays. Robert Laidlaw can't get to the games on Sunday.
You can do it all, Rob. Come on.
I'm not complaining. I
look
made
what
it
he's
work.
brought with us.
Yeah.
And, okay, Rob, before we go here, where can we follow you all season long? We got to bump up those likes so we can all read your reports.
play ball, all things baseball, softball, Our Sporting Life, and Baseball SA.
And even the Giants page sometimes.
If that guy does his job, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Rob, thank you so much
Great
for
job,
joining
Rob.
us.
Awesome
Really
work.
appreciate all the coverage. We'll get you back on soon.
Thanks, guys.
We'll be
Thanks,
back.
mate.
We got two young guns playing in the Super League coming up. Max Stagg and Peter Paik on the other side. Well, look at that. We have more friends that have joined us. Peter Paik over there.
Hey, Pete. Great
Scott
to see
Pratt.
Good to see you guys too.
Eric Balnar. Max Stagg.
Hello, Eric. Hello, Pratty.
you. Hey, Max. How are you, mate?
Is this your interview TV debut, or did you guys get a few shots? Oh, you had interviewed a few times during your junior league days, didn't you?
Yeah, junior league a couple times, but nothing since.
Big media guy.
You're the face of Baseball SA, aren't you? We see you around the place on some social
not
media.
Quite, Pratty, not quite. But
Well, fellas, we'll start with you, Pete. How'd you find that first week of Super League? You're kind of a full-time Super League player now.
Yeah, well, probably didn't quite go the way we planned, losing it in the last inning, but it was good to get out there, get a few extra swings to the bat, so it was good.
And Max, you've kind of cemented yourself as a starter here on the Rays. How's that team shaping up? What can we expect tonight from the Rays?
yeah, I think we've got a really good team this year. I was unfortunate to not really get much game time last year, but now that I've put myself in the lineup, I think with the strength we've got from some of the boys from the other clubs, I think we can put together a really good team and good performance tonight.
This Rays team is young, isn't it?
It is
You got
very young.
Darcy Berry,
Yeah.
Liam Bull, Mason Clavel, Max Stagg, Jack Partington, Jasper Clark, Jet Cloesy. There's some Cesar Perez, Ty Forney also in there, but
Yeah.
there's some young bucks kicking around there.
There's future of Baseball SA right there. You can see a lot of these guys have come through the charter programs, and now they're taking it to the senior charter program, which is great to see these guys moving through. I guess a question for Pete. Came in to pitch at the last part of the game. Very tough to come in at that point.
Oh, yeah, that's
How are you going with that?
Oh, yeah, I didn't really carry many nerves into the game. It was tough with loaded bases, and as I said before, couldn't quite get the job
You're
done.
being like,
but
don't lose it for us, Pete. Bases
Yeah.
loaded, come on in.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, he had nothing to lose. I thought it was a great time for you to get some experience.
Yeah.
Have you done much pitching in the last couple of years? Because you were pitching early, right? And then where have you been at?
I pitched a fair bit through juniors and probably stayed in the bullpen a fair bit in seniors, get a few innings here and there, but it's good to get out in the Super League, get on the hill and face some live hitters for a change.
Max, for some reason, your coach at West Torrens, Tyrone Hambley, raves about you. He has you as pegged as kind of a big player to watch this year. What is it? Give us a little scouting report of yourself, which is one of the hardest questions I think I could ask. I want to hear the Max Stagg scouting report.
Oh, goodness, Eric.
That's hard, Eric. Jeez.
Well, I've kind of been working in the gym this off-season, so I've put on a bit of size. Like to think of myself a bit more of a power hitter these days, but yeah, I don't really know.
Look, let's not put him in under the spotlight. I can tell you, Spells.
Give me Spurl's breakdown of Max Stagg.
About 3 years ago, rated this guy and said, work ethic outstanding, wants it so badly, and watch this guy because he's gonna fast track through the program, and he has done that. And full credit to you, Max. You've just put in all the hard work and the results. Now here you are playing Super League. So well done, mate.
Is it kind of fun going up and playing with all these kids that you were like your Darcy Berries and your Jasper Clarks? So that it's kind of a generation of a gap of 3-4 years that are all going up together.
Yeah, I think coming through charter, especially, I played with a couple of those boys, but them being a couple years older and still proving myself to be up there with them is pretty cool. I guess it's just, yeah, I've put in a lot of hard work, so yeah, pretty happy.
And Pete, what about you? How about some
Starting
players
right field tonight?
starting right field? Some of the players maybe on the Seahawks outside of yourself, young bucks that you're keeping an eye on.
I mean, yeah, Hunter Mitchell's come out this season. He's pumping gas right now. He's throwing well. So hopefully he's starting on the hill tonight. So hopefully he can put some of it into play. And give us a good shot.
Well, boys, thanks for joining us on Hunter Mitchell's theme. We're going to break down some of Hunter Mitchell's debut appearance last week when we're back after the break, boys. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, mate.
Citadel IT is a managed IT services company, which means we provide support, backups, monitoring of your computer systems, and essentially just help small businesses keep their IT moving. Just visit our website, which is citadelit.com.au.
Well, back inside the bullpen, we're almost at the end of the thing. We got a game to play pretty soon, Super League. But what we love about Super League, last year was Riley Yateman and Liam Scott. We'd love to see the breakout performances. One of the ones that caught your eye last week was Hunter Mitchell in his performance for the Seahawks. Yep. Let's break it down. What did Hunter do well?
Okay, well, let's have a look at his first outing. He comes out and pitching out. One thing we know about Hunter is at times he can be inconsistent, but really on this night he really came out firing. Shows right there, he fell away. He started off with a strike, then fell away to the side, missing considerably. But one thing I liked was that he kept his composure, and you can see here where he rears back and he lets it fly with a nice fastball coming through.
On the outside plate, too.
Yeah. And so the one good thing that you can see here is that there's nothing is phasing him. He knows that he's got to throw his pitches. And right there, he's just let it fly and come through and striking out the batter with a high heat. Now, here he's got a runner on. And you can see here that, bang, he gets that strike.
They almost got him, too.
Takes the bag. But then he comes back here again, and you can watch this pitch here. Sets and delivers.
With a runner in scoring position, right, at the outside edge.
And this is really important. This is where we see where a lot of young kids get themselves in trouble, is that they'll just start throwing walks and they'll get carried away with the situation. But you see here, throw a fastball, blow it by him. So he really kept his composure. And you can see, I spoke to him and his brother, Dakota. Dakota's been working with him, doing a lot of work together, and you can see the results there. And he's a kid to watch. He really is. Inconsistent at times. I know he had a tough game on the weekend, but that's with kids. They're going to come and go. They're going to come in and out of form, and we've got to work with them and see that. And you'll see him tonight. He'll start.
That was a great breakdown. Not in the lineup tonight is Tom Fitzgerald, but he pitched on the weekend for Goodwood. He pitched last week. Here's a look at Fitzy's performance.
Yeah, well, Fitzy, you can see he gets ahead here his first pitch, and then you can see now he's got a couple of strikes on the batter. He lets it fly. He goes up in the zone. I don't mind to see that. You're moving the ball around the zone, right? And then he comes back here with another strike and really throws that fastball past the batter there.
Hard to keep up with, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. And then you can see here in the next clip that he comes in with the high heat. Which is good because he's unpredictable, and you don't want to be. You're a fastball pitcher on the outside edge, and that's really important for him.
And there's that high heat there.
So see the batter moves back out of the way there, so he's changing his eyesight, and so your locations change, and that's really important as a pitcher that hitters don't get set off a fastball all the time. So I was really impressed to see that he moved that ball around.
And then this one with a 1-2 count, I think he gets him looking on this pitch too.
Yeah, this is standard.
He just chased right through it. Yeah.
Yep.
But then the big moment in the game, you have Austin Gallagher coming out. I think he only had thrown 9 pitches to this point.
Yeah, that's right.
And then
he gets the out ground ball, get ahead, obviously.
Because Gally can catch up with his stuff.
100%, and Gally's ready to hit, and you can see that. But one of the interesting things was, in between all this, he gets the ground ball out, 10 pitches, 8 strikes, 2 balls. Outstanding effort. Just bang, bang, bang.
Because it's the walks that sometimes get away from him.
They're free bases. You hear Tank has talked about that for years through the Giants program, and that's where, with Fitzy, he's really worked on his mental game, and I talked to him about that, and that's been his key moment. Work on pitch by pitch by pitch and make the adjustment and go again, and real confident stuff. And it's great to see him develop as a pitcher. He started the game late, 14-year-old, started pitching at 17, so he's really young.
17 is when he started pitching.
Yeah, that's right. 19, actually.
19. So, and he's 27 now.
Yep.
So if you compare that to a kid that's been pitching since Little League when they're 10, he's like at the same point as like an 18, 19, 20-year-old.
Exactly, and so he's still learning his craft, and you can see he has spent a lot of time, and we've talked about that with kids being involved, the mental side of the game and staying control, and he's done a lot of work outside of baseball on that and making sure that he can get that right.
Well, Scott Pratt, that's a great breakdown here. That almost wraps things up for us, but we've just got to give a few shout-outs from around the community. You ready to do that? Because there's been so many cool moments that happened really over the season and a few milestones to shout out. So let's start off with Dylan Bentley, 100 games for Glenelg over the weekend. And again, if you have any of these shout-outs, please send them through events@baseball.com.au. Big shout-out also to the East Torrens women's first D1 game.
Yeah, how cool's that?
That's really cool.
It's great to see.
And a few more clubs are popping up there. I know some clubs go down, but just that talent starting to expand D1.
Just builds that women's competition even more.
Now, this is cool. A couple cool moments here. One, junior coordinator at Glenelg, Callum Wilson. He got to play his first game with his son.
Grant Wilson.
Grant Wilson's the junior coordinator. Callum's the son.
Cracking bloke.
Div 3. They got. How cool is that? Look,
that's awesome.
I love those moments. And then Jamie. Well, you know Jamie Thomas.
Know him well. Great guy too, and done a lot around West Torrens.
320 D1 games.
Cool's that?
500 senior games, and his son Balin called up as a 17-year-old to play with Jamie in D3. Played together as a father and son in Balin's first game.
What a moment. That is cool.
And then a big shout out. How about a legend going around the grounds? Mike Tofin, 800 games for Adelaide?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And a great part of Adelaide, a great contributor to Adelaide Angels.
What's the math on that, 800 games? How does that happen? So big shout out to him. Owen Hughes, a guy you know as well, he played 200 games.
One of the greatest athletes of all time, Owen, and a cracking guy.
Zach Green from Henley and Grange, he got number 50 in there.
Welcome to get a milestone there.
It's hard to believe that he's only 23, but Mitch Lightbody just played his 200th D1 game.
Seems like he's been around forever. 200 games.
D1, that's D1.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
Of years.
Please send in any moments or shout-outs you'd like around the community, because it really is, the community makes it happen. A couple guys around Goodwood made it happen too.
Special mention to Sean Heaps. He's been out there. The Goodwood field is looking fantastic. Mows it twice a week. He does a great job. The mound, the batter's box in great nick to all the effort that he puts in.
I was at Goodwood on the weekend. It was awesome feel.
Get in there, hit.
I did get a hit.
Well
one
done,
for
mate.
one.
Well
couple
done.
stolen bases, speedy. Yeah. Sign me up for the Seahawks. Look, we'll end it with a quick little blooper, and this one was a cracker from last week. You were the one that pointed this out.
Yeah.
Walk us through. This was awesome.
Look, that was a tough play by Cressy. He had to come in and get on the run, and bam.
Poor Spacequake Sports camera. I love here, though, like you see the camera guy right at the very end.
Doesn't he do a good job?
Look at this. He just peeks it. Oh, there he is. There was Carl right at the end of that play. I love that. We'll run the clip again. Keep your eye on the top left screen as the camera guy checking it's okay for his little moment on screen. But, yeah, any events, anything, bloopers, whatever, anything you want on the show, send them through to events@baseballsa.org. We really appreciate it. Pratty, any final thoughts?
No, mate. I'm looking forward to it tonight. I think it'll be good to see the young kids playing tonight, and hopefully we can get a win.
Well, this has been In the Bullpen, brought to you by Hilltop Office Supplies. Big shout out to Hilltop. They've stepped up as a sponsor of all the state leagues as well. Hilltop Office Supplies. Make sure you contact Dunny, Matt, any of the team at Hilltop Office, because they actually took care of the Giants office the other day and hooked us up with some pretty good equipment. So
they got me in within 24 hours. They do a great job.
That's hard to do. So thanks to Hilltop Office Supplies. We'll see you next week. Stay tuned to the games this weekend. Super League coming up. Eric Balnar, Scott Pratt. See you later.
See ya.